Please make sure the loan repayment is taken care of. One day, while I was busy at work, I received an unexpected email. The moment I saw it, I felt uneasy. Without wasting any time, I immediately picked up my phone and called Bruce. When he answered, he spoke in a calm voice, as if everything was completely normal. "Oh, sorry about that," he said casually. "I've fallen in love with someone else, and I've decided to start a new life with her." As I struggled to process his words, he continued speaking, explaining that he planned to take the luxury car that we had recently purchased. The problem was that the car had been bought under my name using a loan. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I tried to reason with him, hoping to change his mind, but he refused to listen. Instead, he abruptly ended our conversation. After that, no matter how many times I called or sent messages, I could no longer reach him. Eventually, Bruce completely disappeared with his new partner, leaving me behind with a massive debt. As a mother to our 9-year-old son, I was left stunned by the situation. At 38 years old, my name is Tiffany, and my husband, Bruce, who is also 38, had abandoned our family. Our son, Russell, was an exceptionally bright child. Even at a young age, he had shown great intelligence by reading academic articles and engaging in complex discussions. On the other hand, Bruce had always struggled with stability. He frequently changed jobs and had difficulty maintaining a steady source of income. Despite this, I had always worked full-time to ensure we had a stable future. Only recently had Bruce managed to hold down a steady job for about 4 years. He often talked about making beautiful memories as a family, which led us to make a big decision. We purchased a $110,000 camper van. However, Bruce was unable to qualify for the loan due to his financial history. As a result, I had no choice but to take out the loan under my own name. The day the camper van was delivered to our home, I received a shocking email from Bruce. In the email, he stated that since the loan was in my name, he was taking the van, and I would be responsible for repaying the debt. I was completely confused. I grabbed my phone and called him right away. When he answered, he admitted everything. He confessed that he had fallen in love with another woman and had decided to be with her instead of staying with me. "At first, I thought it was just a passing feeling," he said, "but it turned into something serious, and now I want to start a new life with her." He also mentioned the divorce papers we had previously argued about. He told me he planned to file them and then hung up the phone before I could say anything else. That was the moment I fully realized the extent of his betrayal. It was shocking beyond words. From that point on, I was unable to reach him. He had completely cut off all contact with me. When I returned home that evening, I rushed to the drawer where the divorce papers had been kept, but when I opened it, the papers were gone. Bruce had taken them, and I was left alone to deal with the reality of the enormous debt that had been placed on my shoulders. I continued trying to contact him through emails and phone calls, but I never received a response. At one point, I turned to my son, Russell, and asked, "Did you know this was going to happen?" He looked at me with calm eyes and replied, "No, but I kind of understood from how things were going." Even though he seemed unbothered by the situation, I knew deep down that this was affecting him more than he let on. I silently apologized to him in my heart, feeling overwhelmed by everything that had happened. My emotional stress started to take a toll on my health. One day, during a training session at work, I felt extremely weak. I tried to push through, but I couldn't. "Sorry, I can't stand up right now. I need to take a break," I said before everything went black. When I regained consciousness, I was lying in a hospital bed. A doctor stood beside me and informed me that I needed further tests. They admitted me for additional examinations to ensure my condition was stable. As I stared at the ceiling, tears streamed down my face. Just then, the hospital door burst open, and Russell rushed inside. "Mom, are you okay? Is it serious? You're not going to die, right?" he asked with a shaky voice. I reached for his hand and reassured him, "Of course not. I would never leave my dear son alone." "That's good," he said, his eyes glistening with relief. "I was so scared when my teacher called to tell me you were in the hospital." Hearing his words, I realized how much Russell had been affected by everything. I made up my mind that I needed to be stronger, for both of us. The stress had been overwhelming, but I didn't expect my health to deteriorate so quickly. After running multiple tests, the doctors diagnosed me with a serious illness that required immediate surgery. A month passed. By the time I was discharged from the hospital, I returned home and checked my mailbox. Inside, I found a demand letter regarding the unpaid car loan. I had assumed that the payments were being deducted automatically. Panicked, I checked my account balance. What had once been $42,000 had dwindled down to just $54. I clenched my fists. Bruce did this. I wanted to contact him and demand my money back, but I still had no way to reach him. What am I supposed to do? I whispered, sinking deeper into despair. Without the camper van, I had no way of selling it to recover the funds. Russell noticed my distress. He placed his small hand on my forehead and asked, "You look pale. Are you feeling sick again? You don't seem to have a fever." I forced a small smile and replied, "I'm fine physically, but your father took not just the car, he took all the money we saved. I can't work right now because of my condition, and now, we have nothing left." Russell's expression changed. His eyes filled with determination. "Then I'll find a way to help," he declared. "I'll deliver newspapers, and I'll search the internet to see if there's any work I can do." His words gave me strength. It wasn't the time to feel weak. "I'm sorry for worrying you, Russell. I need to change my mindset and do whatever I can," I said, smiling at him. He smiled back and then, to my surprise, suggested something unexpected. "Let's figure out how to get the car back from Dad." I was taken aback. "How can we do that? The camper van is in your name, right?" he asked. "Yes, but then maybe we can." He started explaining an idea that I hadn't even considered. I was stunned by his thinking. Despite the challenges ahead, Russell's determination and intelligence gave me hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to turn things around. Russell looked at Julia with a firm expression and spoke in a serious tone. "I didn't ask you, old lady. Dad, you answer," he commanded, making it clear that he expected a response from Bruce and not Julia. Julia immediately fell silent, perhaps startled by Russell's firm words, but Bruce hesitated, not responding right away. The room was filled with an uncomfortable silence. I decided to push him further. "If you can't explain, that's fine. I'll just have the police come back and take you away," I said, making sure he understood that I was not going to let this go unanswered. Bruce quickly raised his hands as if surrendering. "Wait, hold on. Okay, I'll talk," he said, finally giving in. He then explained that Julia had started working at his company just 2 months ago. The two of them had felt an immediate attraction to each other and got involved during a welcome party for new employees. Soon after, Julia discovered she was pregnant. Believing that it was best to start a new life together, Bruce made the decision to leave our family behind. I wasn't satisfied with just that explanation. "Why did you take the camper van?" I asked, pressing him for more answers. Bruce sighed, looking uncomfortable. "I quit my job and thought about selling the car to get some money," he admitted, "but I noticed you were using it quite a bit, so I thought it would be a waste to sell it right away. Instead, we decided to take a trip." Then, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Wait, how do you know all this?" he asked, seeming confused by how much I had figured out. I gave him a knowing smile. "Remember when Russell got lost? After that incident, as a precaution, we bought him a kid's cell phone and installed a GPS tracking app. Do you remember that? We installed the same app on your phone too. So, I knew where you were the entire time," I revealed. Later, I found out that Russell had actually pretended to get lost that day. He had done it on purpose so that we would take safety precautions in case of an emergency. I was amazed by how thoughtful and strategic my 9-year-old son was. Russell spoke calmly, as if everything had gone exactly as he had planned. "I suspected something was off with Dad, so I came up with this plan to monitor his actions." I looked at him with admiration and a bit of amusement. "You are a formidable child," I remarked, half jokingly, yet completely serious. Russell didn't laugh. Instead, he looked directly at Bruce and said with unwavering determination, "I hope I never become an adult like Dad, someone who betrays important people without a second thought." Bruce had no words to defend himself. He looked completely defeated. Meanwhile, seeing my young son show such maturity and resolve only strengthened my own determination. I had to stand firm for both of us. I turned my focus back to Bruce. "Also, return the $42,000 you withdrew from my account right now. That was our joint property as a married couple," I demanded. Bruce's stubbornness kicked in again. "I don't have to return it," he said defiantly. I shook my head, refusing to back down. That money was what I had saved little by little since before we were married. You always quit your jobs halfway, so we never really saved anything together, did we? That money is mine, I countered firmly. Finding out that Bruce and Julia had wasted the $42,000 was infuriating. However, at the same time, it reassured me that I had made the right decision to divorce him. That's how it is, I continued, but if you've stolen my car and used my money without my permission, that is a serious crime. Bruce scoffed. What? I just sent the police away. This has nothing to do with them anymore, right? I stared him down. I only said we would talk. I never said I was dropping the charges. I still plan to report the theft of my money. Then, I turned to Russell and asked, should I call the police now? I can do it with just one button on my phone. Before Bruce could react, Julia, who had been quiet this entire time, suddenly tried to leave the camper van, but before she could make it out, a loud scream echoed through the air. Julia's parents stood just outside the van, their faces red with fury. Julia stepped back in shock. I'm sorry, don't be so angry, but why are you here, Mom and Dad? I crossed my arms and revealed, I called your parents beforehand. Julia looked at me, completely dumbfounded. What? Why? The truth was, Russell had gone to Bruce's office while I was in the hospital. He had tearfully told Julia's parents, my dad left the house with another woman. His words had left a strong impression on them, and they had become suspicious of their daughter's behavior. Bruce's colleagues had also noticed Julia and Bruce getting too close at work and had taken pictures of them at the welcome party. Through this, we were able to find out where Julia's parents lived. Russell and I then visited them and explained everything. After that, I contacted Julia's parents again and asked them to be nearby for this confrontation. Julia turned pale. How could you do this to me? She shouted at me, looking betrayed. I rolled my eyes. I don't want to hear that from you. That's my line. Then, I noticed her stomach and asked, by the way, your belly looks quite big. When is the baby due? Julia looked flustered but answered, in 2 months. I frowned. Wait a minute, that doesn't add up. You and my husband met only 2 months ago. What's going on? Bruce's eyes widened as he realized what I was implying. Wait, what does that mean? I sighed, frustrated by his obliviousness. Are you stupid? Don't you get it? It takes about 8 months from conception to birth. That means the baby she's carrying isn't yours. You're so foolish. Julia, realizing she was caught, smirked. Oh well, I almost got away with it, she said casually. You're such a fool. You can't even see through lies. Bruce turned red with anger. Don't mock me. My whole life is ruined because of you. Bruce and Julia began arguing, but I had no interest in their drama. Instead, I contacted the police to update them on the situation. As night fell, the red and blue lights of police cars filled the scene. Bruce panicked. No, really, I was wrong. I'll work hard and never cheat again. Just don't let them arrest me. Russell scoffed. People don't change that easily, especially lazy people like you. I nodded in agreement. Exactly, Russell is right. I can't trust you. Turning to Bruce, I stated, think about your actions and prepare to face the consequences at the police station. Bruce tried one last desperate plea. If I get arrested, I won't be able to pay back the money. Is that okay with you? I smirked. I don't mind. Pay me back after you serve your time. Take your time. I've already found you a job. Finally, Bruce and Julia were taken away by the police. Thanks to Russell's brilliant strategy, I managed to secure financial restitution. With a fresh start, I was ready to focus on giving Russell a stable and happy future.